So recently I got some hands-on time with Duskfade. I was able to experience a small 30-minute demo of the game's very first level, and honestly I walked away from this experience with a massive grin on my face, reminded of the simpler times in gaming throughout the early 2000s, back when we were delving through the joys of Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, or Ratchet and Clank. For those who don't know what Duskfade is, it's an upcoming 3D action platformer inspired by the likes of Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, the 3D Marios, and even a little bit of Kingdom Hearts. It's set to release in 2026 on both PC as well as PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. The game's been in development for a little over 2 years now, coming from a relatively new indie game studio, Weird Beluga, with the game first being revealed at the beginning of last year, and honestly, since that build of the game, comparing it to the build we have here, the game has come a long way. Now, if you guys haven't seen my other videos talking about this game, you should know that I've been in direct contact with the devs themselves, and one thing that stands out to me is just how passionate they are about this project. While Weird Beluga have one other game under their belt, Duskfade is the game that they've always wanted to create. A game that harkens back to 3D action platformers of the PlayStation 2 era. A game that not only plays like one, but also has the heart and soul of one as well. And from my own experience of being able to try the game out, I can tell you that this certainly ticks all the right boxes. I first of all want to comment on the game's visual aesthetic because it is simply oozing with character and charm. Developed on Unreal Engine 5 and sporting this stylized, cartoony approach to the art direction, I love the visual style of this game. The environment, the characters have all been gorgeously crafted. I also like how all of the vegetation, like the trees or the grass, have this almost sort of hand-drawn effect to them. As we know, any good 3D platformer or action platformer from the PlayStation 1 or 2 or N64 era all sports a stylized cartoony approach to its graphical style, and it is so present here. This game is drop dead gorgeous. One thing that is clear though is when comparing that very first version that we were shown at the beginning of last year to this current version, Weird Beluga have dialed back on color. It's almost like they've toned the saturation filter right the way down. Now, I'm assuming that this is obviously an intentional design choice, and obviously it's subjective. On one hand, I really like the look of that original version, but then I also like the current version we have here. I just hope that there is still good use of bright colors that pop within this final build, looking at some of the other levels that come later on. But that original version certainly does now look very different compared to what we have here, where Beluga have come a long way. Now this demo starts from the very beginning of the game and runs you through the first level up until the very first boss fight. The tutorial has Zurian, the main character, waking up in a paradoxal, temporal mishmash of a cave. I don't even know if I just spoke English just there, but this weird cave thing where time is going all fruity like. Straight off the bat, this is where you acquire the sword, which might resemble that of the Keyblade. Yes, the inspiration behind this is Kingdom Hearts' Keyblade, and you'll probably notice that the sword is in fact a clock hand. The major theme of Duskfade here is time. We have no idea why Zurian is where he is, but his main goal is to find his sister Ilaria. Within this strange time dimension, we come across a clockwork bird, Kaku, who acts as Zurian's sidekick. Well, it's hard to gauge exactly what kind of role Kaku will play from a narrative point of view, just from what I experienced in the demo. She does actually play a role in combat. When you're engaged in combat, there is a random chance that she'll attack an enemy. Also, as you're exploring levels, from time to time you'll get a prompt to interact with Kaku to activate a piece of dialogue. When I was first talking to the developers, one thing they did mention to me is exploring is incentivized, as there are specific spots around these levels where you actually learn more about the game's world, the game's lore and story. So these dialogue opportunities can be easily missed if you're not exploring every nook and cranny of each level. You'll also come across NPCs that you can interact with and talk to as well. First level here takes place in a foresty village type environment. The level setup seems to be relatively linear as you make your way down the main path, though there are portions that sort of open up a little bit with branching pathways where you can explore to uncover chests, find more of the currency crystals that are basically scattered all throughout the level itself, or uncover these cog items. I'm not too sure what the cogs are for just yet, though I do know that there are unlockable skins for both the sword as well as Zarian's outfit throughout the game, so it's possible that these might be used to unlock those. Either that, or these are a main collectible that you might need in order to progress further into the game. In regards to the collectible crystals that are scattered throughout levels or found within breakables or upon defeating enemies, I'm still not too sure what these are used for. They are a currency of some sort, which suggests that there is going to be some type of a shop system where you might be able to spend these on upgrades like increased HP or enhanced abilities. While it's not present here in the demo, I have been told that there is a hub for this game, so it makes me think that there'll likely be a merchant or shop that's located within the hub that branches off into different levels. Now, one thing that I really liked is how the level sort of diversifies itself, transitioning from one theme into another, going from this village forest type environment into a more factory mechanical type themed level. It does this really well and quite cohesively, where it feels like you're actually exploring a world. So it's not just like one level is one theme, the next level is another theme. One level might contain multiple themes within it. Now, looking at the platforming here, it's done really well. It feels good, and so it should if this is what we're going to be doing for most of the time. It's unique in the sense that it reminds me of how Jak and Daxter feels, but with a mix of Super Mario Galaxy. Zarian has this set of stretchy animations whenever you're controlling him, jumping, attacking, which to me is quite reminiscent of Jak and Daxter. Zarian can double jump as well as dodge on both the ground and in midair, which the midair dodge is also incorporated into the platforming within levels. The platforming, when looking at like the jumping and midair control, almost has this sort of floatiness feel to it, which can sometimes make precise landings on platforms a little bit difficult. It is something though that you adjust to. Like by the end of the demo, I was used to the way that movement feels in this game. I'm not sure if this is intentional and whether or not this is something that is going to be further improved leading up to the full release of the game next year, but I for one actually really enjoyed it. It's got this unique feel to the movement, and mixing in the mid-air dodging, I can imagine once you get this down on pat, blasting through levels in a speedrun sense will be really satisfying. We've got some other mechanics to the platforming here, like a grapple hook, ledge grabs, and even wall jumps. And also from the trailers, we know that there is a Ratchet and Clank styled grind rail system. I was also happy to find out that some of the secrets here scattered throughout levels are quite well hidden. Like for example, this chest that's in the tutorial segment, if I had not moved the camera all the way around, I wouldn't have known that I can actually move underneath this platform to find this chest. I also came across these crystals in a cave that I couldn't break, though clearly there is something on the other side of them. Now, I had been told in the past by the developers that there is going to be reason to return back to previously explored levels, to access other areas that require a certain gadget or mechanic that you acquire later on in the game in a separate level. So my speculation is, within the hub area of Duskfade, you'll be able to return back to any of the levels you've previously been to uncover absolutely all of the secrets within one level. Now, the other side to Duskfade here is its combat. This is an action platformer, so think along the lines of Ratchet and Clank or Jak and Daxter. It's important though not to go into this game thinking that you're going to get some kind of in-depth Devil May Cry or Kingdom Hearts-esque combat system, because it's very light on its feet. Zarian has a very simple combo string for on the ground and in the air. There are also special abilities here that are displayed on the left of the screen, which are known as gadgets. Here in the demo, I was able to try just one, though it looks like there are 4. And this gauge right here is the resource that will be used in order to activate the gadget. As soon as the gadget is used, the bar will deplete, but will automatically start refilling. And we've also got a Zelda-styled lock-on system, though interestingly, with this lock-on system, at least with this current build of the game, it doesn't actually hard lock on to enemies. So for instance, if you're locked onto an enemy, but you're closer to another enemy, Zarian will attack the enemy closest to him. I'm not sure if that's something that will change for the final version or if this is intended. However, the lock-on system works well enough. It's not absolutely essential because this is an action platformer. combat is pretty basic in that sense of things, which is absolutely fine. It doesn't need to be in depth to the degree of something like Devil May Cry or Ninja Gaiden. And of course, going back to it, we also have that dodge system, which you can dodge twice in succession, and attacking just out of a dodge will actually perform a slide dash attack. Also, enemies do have an attack indicator effect to them, and dodging at the exact precise time will actually create a perfect dodge slowdown effect. This was something that I was not expecting in this game, but it's here. I was also able to get a taste of what boss fights look like in Duskfade, and again, it's that studying the enemy attack patterns and then going in at the right time to attack the enemy to deplete their big ass health bar. When a boss's health gets low enough to a certain point, they'll then activate a special platforming sequence. So for this one here, a bunch of pillars get raised, and I have to jump from one pillar to another to reach the boss before he activates his charge up attack. If he activates this charge up attack, he'll constantly drain my health. I've been told that this is how boss fights work in Duskfade. While bosses will have basic movesets, their special attacks are in the form of platforming challenges. By the way, I have to mention the health system here in the game because the team, since the last version of the game that I saw, have reworked the health HUD element. The health bar is now being moved to the bottom right of the screen with an artwork of Zerian's head, and the health bar is now a part of a clock. As your HP lowers, the clock arm will move down the health gauge. It's little stylistic elements like that Kingdom Hearts especially pays attention to within its HUD design that I really appreciate in video games. I have to say too that there were quite a few moments there where I was actually quite low on health. Like, enemies do dish out some decent damage here. Again, values and stuff like that might change for the final build, and there might be difficulty options perhaps. In fact, I hope there is. For people that are seeking harder challenge runs, I do hope that there is a hard mode here. But there is a potion system, that little star sitting right next to your health bar. This indicates that you've got a potion, which can be activated by pressing the right bumper. You can only hold one potion at a time, however potions can be randomly found within a level or dropped by enemies. Again, because there is currency in this game, it might be a thing where you might be able to buy more potion slots, and perhaps even looking at Zerian's combos, upgrades to his combo string, and defensive capabilities. Lastly, I've got to once again shout out the folks that are working on the UI for Duskfade and the art team, because the pause screen is very cool. I like how the clock hand moves down as you go through the options of the pause menu. Very nice touch. All in all, my first impressions of Duskfade are really positive. This is some impressive stuff coming from a small indie team of only 12 people, which by the way is ironic, considering that, you know, this game is centered around time and that there are 12 hours on a clock. But yeah, it gives me heavy vibes of the platformer titles that I played throughout my childhood on the PlayStation 2. And with that small sprinkle of Kingdom Hearts style over the top, I think this is going to turn out to be something really special. I know that the devs are also wanting to attach quite an emotional and relatable narrative to this game as well, which isn't so commonly found when it comes to this genre of video game. Platformers are generally quite light-hearted and, well, just quite generally light when it comes to the story department. From my experience with the demo at least, I am starting to see the foundations and inklings of that, but it isn't really full force just yet. This is only a demo of experience, so it's too soon to judge, but already I am curious about a couple of different lingering mysteries here. The one thing I'm really hoping for though is that the levels do become more interesting. Again, it's too soon to judge, and this is only level 1, which is generally quite basic when it comes to these kinds of games, but I do hope that at least looking at the challenge and the structure of the level design becomes a little bit more interesting as you progress through. However guys, those are my early first impressions of Duskfade. If you want to keep in the know about this game, I'll leave some handy dandy links in the description down below. A big shout out to both WebBeluga and publisher Fireshine Games for allowing me to get some hands-on time with this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Give that like button a hard slapping and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. A big shout out to my wonderful patrons and YouTube members. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll chat again real soon.